I'm gonna ask you to leave now. There are kids in here.
Oh, you're right. Scouts, I completely apologize to my scouts. You're here for good reason, and this is not it.
Mr. Harp, hold on.
They're here to see government in action. They're here to see government terrorize citizens. That's what they're here for at this point.
You're out of control.
I am not out of control. This township is out of control.
We appreciate your comments, but I think we're done.
I guess we are done. So you know what? Send whoever you want to my house and see who takes my stuff away. I'll take my pictures. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thank you for coming home. You can bet it will be a nasty, nasty night when it goes down.
Anyone else?
Oh,
Come on
I
up,
don't
Craig.
know why my taxes have not gone down when my garage was taken down. They went up when my taxes, when my garage was built, but since it's come down, my taxes have not gone down.
Okay, you
Can we
can,
address that issue or no?
you'd have to go downstairs and see the tax.
Oh, I gotta go see somebody else file more paperwork.
Ms. Benza, just your name and
Thank you
address.
for the terrorization.
Good evening, Mayor.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm here in reference
Name and
tonight.
address.
I'm sorry, name and address.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Greg Panza, Ocean Street, Fort DeGriffin. I'm here in reference,
He just left.
okay, to the veterans tax exemption. While I was campaigning last year, a lady had approached me in reference to the veterans tax exemption that she's not eligible for. Currently in the eligibility requirements, in the first section it says, surviving spouse, civil union, or domestic partner claimant must meet all 6 requirements in the first section. Document that the deceased veteran or service person was a citizen and resident of New Jersey at death, who had wartime service in the United States Armed Forces, who was honorably discharged, or who died on active wartime duty. The scenario is, she lived in New York when he passed away, and is currently in New Jersey. Therefore, unfortunately, she, as it's written here, is not eligible to receive these.
I think, Greg, I think it's a state regulation that would have to be,
I actually went one step further and did
yeah.
contact Senator
I mean, you probably have
Connors.
more information than I do on it.
And yeah, I kind of researched it myself. He bounced it back to the municipality. It says, since the municipality is not the state responsible for covering the cost of the exemption, municipality with greater numbers of veterans are impacted significantly than others in light of the existing law. So he's basically bouncing it.
But it's not up for us to make the decision because it's based on state statute and you have to have those qualifying things. And if there's, somebody's denied,
Yep.
it's appealed at the Ocean County Board of Taxation.
That's the problem that I have. You know, whether the gentleman that served the nation died in New Jersey or New York, Florida, or any other state, it doesn't change the fact that he served the country. And I really didn't get, I wrote the letter, or the email to Senator Connors while I was running on the campaign last year, and it just seems like she's falling through the crack. And I'm just wondering how many other residents in Lacey Township are falling through the crack because they lived in another state and decided to live in our great town, and they're being denied.
Yeah, have you spoken to Senator Connors recently on it?
The last time I spoke, like I said, was last year, and I'm certain that this hasn't changed.
Did you suggest that he propose legislation to make such a change at the state level?
I got so many different things as far as, it doesn't seem like he's going to move on anything because of the fact that he just threw statistics and what bills the governor proposed and things of that nature. I wasn't really interested in that. I wanted to see that something like this, technicality, is changing. Maybe somebody.
We'll send a letter over to Senator Connors.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
And we
yeah.
could
If you
move-
just give us the documentation on it, we'll put a letter together, so
Absolutely.
forward it over to the legislative office here.
yeah.
Sure, that's no
And
problem.
even at the local level, maybe, is there something, maybe by resolution that you guys can?
I don't know if we can override taxation.
No.
Taxation.
We can't override Board of Taxation, no, we have to follow the statute, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't propose a resolution supporting legislation to make that change.
All right, I'll give you the email.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem at all.
It's his response. I don't know if what I wrote is in here. And obviously, you're familiar with the.
Yeah, we'll send a letter and we'll copy on it.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Take care.
Mr. Penn,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
Good.
Listen, I got an email, I don't know if you wrote this email, I guess it was sent to me, and it was, I'll read it to you. The inference Mr. Most made is that the hypodermic needle he brought to the meeting last night was filled with an illegal narcotic. Did you write that?
It's not an email,
What was it?
it's a post.
It was a post. Did you post that?
What's that?
Did you post that?
I did.
Okay. So let me just finish. I'm not attacking you. I just want to explain myself.
Okay.
Diabetics also use syringes to administer insulin, which is not illegal. So now we have an issue of an improperly discarded syringe. I urge all committee members not to bring potentially biohazard material to our committee meetings. I also caution the general public not to bring items like this to our meetings as they pose a potential threat to residents in attendance. A simple picture on a camera phone would be proven his point and kept everyone safe. You know, a simple phone call to me just to ask me if I'm qualified, first of all, in first aid and taking care of sharps. And I'll be honest with you, this is the second syringe I found. I was brought up in this area. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that naive to think that if you're a diabetic, you're gonna throw your syringe out the window. Hold on, let me finish and then I'll let you respond.
Go right ahead.
So, folks that are diabetics usually have a container themselves to take care of their sharps. Since I've been living in this area, I've never seen a syringe in this area till recent years, and this is the second one I come across. I know how to take the precautionary measures as far as wearing surgeon gloves, putting it in a double liner. I stuck the needle in a cord, okay, and most importantly, I got it off the road and we put it in a sharp container in the police department. Now, I do not urge anybody in the community, which I totally agree with you, to take those matters into their hands. They could call the police department and we'll take care of it. But we do not need to leave syringes in the area. But I just wanted to let you know that I took all the precautions necessary myself, and at no time it was double lined, just like the code in the first aid says as far as biohazards, and it was dispensed correctly. So anytime you have any questions, feel free, because you almost made it sound like I was derelict in my duties, and believe me, I knew exactly what I was doing, just like you.
Irresponsible maybe, as I said, and maybe Mr. Percola could have educated you on how to properly move something like that.
Like I told you, I wore surgeon
You
gloves.
visited the-
It's in a double liner bag, and I
You
did
visited
it
the
belongs.
state's website
I understand it belongs
on
in a
hazardous
container,
materials?
and the reason I mentioned that was because of the May 27th forum.
It shouldn't have been in here, honestly, Mr. Wilson. That was irresponsible.
Well, it's out in our
Did you
community.
leave it- So you bring it into a meeting?
Safely,
Really?
safely.
That was unsafe. It was in a bag. and
It was in a
uns-
double-lined Ziploc bag,
Doesn't matter.
and the needle was contained.
Okay.
So all I'm saying, the next time, if you'd like to call me up and ask me if I'm qualified
No,
with
because
sharps, then I
question
am.
how you act responsible. That's
And
how
would
I
you
question
left
it.
that needle in the community?
No, and what I would have done is call the police department and dispose of it in a biohazardous container. Marked red, biohazardous.
And that's where it went,
container.
when it left this township
Did you
meeting.
leave it behind there when you had the executive session?
Did I leave it in there?
Yeah.
No, it was in my possession at all times.
So you had a hypodermic needle that you don't know who used it on your possession?
It was in a double liner bag, just
In
like,
your possession, which is illegal.
I'm just telling you that I wasn't irresponsible. I'm trained with sharp objects, and if you had any question about
Clearly, your
it,
training
you
is
could have brought
not
it to
up
me.
to par.
Well, that's your opinion, so, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, have a good night, Aaron.
You too.
To our guests from 156, we truly appreciate you coming tonight. It's been a very unique evening.
It's not always like this.
Just so you know, this is not a normal meeting. I've been involved in government probably 11 years now, and this happens once maybe every 6 or 7 years. So don't. You drew the short straw, gentlemen.
Come next month.
But don't take this as what government is. We say it over and over again to our scouting individuals in town here. You boys will work your way up through the scouting program. Probably most of you make Eagle Scout, and someday some of you will be sitting up here because you're going to turn yourselves into great leaders. We truly appreciate you coming out tonight. You earned that merit badge, let me tell you. And for the young lady that left with her son, when the language got foul, we do apologize for that. But
Mayor,
Yes.
could you please address some of the actual waivers that we've done as far as residents and
We
supporting?
didn't close the floor to public comment yet, so we
Sure.
might
yeah,
still
I'm
have
sorry.
some public
Any
comment.
other
Anybody
public
else?
comment? Nope. Got a
And
motion to
talk-
close?
Motion to close it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
If you could just explain to the public, because I don't want it out there thinking that we don't support our residents. I mean, obviously, when I was mayor, I mean, we bent over backwards as far as making sure that they were in the REM programs and that we supported them, followed through, called government, called the governor's office, worked through insurance companies. We've made dispensations as far as trailers. People got permissions to do that. And as far as reducing their taxes, there was protocol for that, and we made it pretty easy. And all I'm saying is that it's just a process. I understand that it could be a little frustrating, especially on the federal level, but there's a lot of people that are getting their checks now, and it is a long process.
Yes, like Mr. Moe said, unfortunately at the local level in government, we don't have control over the promises that were made early on by President Obama or Governor Christie. The idea at the governor's level was the fact that the federal government would be forthcoming with similar aid that was granted when the floods occurred down in New Orleans a number of years back. But unfortunately, Sandy victims didn't get that same amount of aid that the individuals down in New Orleans got, which, you know, a lot of people consider a slap in the face. At the local level, all we can do is really work with our co-partners over in the state, trying to take and keep forcing the issue. And like Mr. Moe said, there have been people that are finally starting to see money come through, and they are getting some help. Mr. Arp was saying, you know, the Barrier Islands. Well, there's a lot of areas over in the Barrier Islands that certainly are very, very devastated. If you go up to Orly Beach and north in those areas, there's a lot of homes that have not been addressed yet, that still have to be addressed as far as the damage goes, just demolished just to get rid of these houses to make it a safer environment. But we worry about what we have in our borders here in Lacey Township. We always go as far as we can to take and try and resolve any issue that we can, whether it be a Sandy victim or something else, but we do have ordinances on the books. Mr. Downing is our code enforcement officer. He does a tremendous job for us, and unfortunately, people don't always agree with, you know, the job he is sent out to do. But the law is the law. We have to take and abide by it. We do have situations where we've granted waivers. If somebody sends us a letter in, we have granted waivers to people who live in trailers on their property, to store trailers on their property during the rebuild process. Mr. Arp, you know, hasn't really gotten as far along as he wants to, you know, which, you know, we certainly feel for him. But we have to take into account the fact that there are residents surrounding his property down there, and we have to have a balance where, you know, we'll do something to try and help him, but still not create a negative situation for the rest of the taxpayers that are living in that neighborhood. So, if you want to come back, guys, anytime you want to come back, it's always an experience. But tonight was a little bit different than normal. But it was great having you, though. So thank you very much. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys.